This is He Knows His Sport, bringing you that heat and that fire. All right, I wanted to clear some things up in regards to Carmelo Anthony and Damian Lillard. Yesterday's video, I had to put it down. I know I've never done that before, but obviously the information that I got was not the correct information, because usually I get my source from Clutch Points, but I got it from somewhere else, because Clutch Points is an excellent source of getting information. You know what I'm saying? I just kind of read what they say in their read what they say in their articles and give you my take on it, basically, because I believe in them and they're credible. There's some other very credible ones out there too, but the other one that I went to was a new one that, you know what I'm saying, it wasn't credible. I think it was called Deadspin or something like that, but the information that I got from there, whoever the writer was, did not give the credible information. But here's the credible information in the video. Damian Lillard has been wanting Carmelo Anthony multiple times. Actually, it's been more than twice to come to the Portland Trail Blazers. Carmelo Anthony did not refuse, but Carmelo Anthony had other situations going on at the time. That's why Carmelo Anthony decided not to go there. Now, was it the right decision for him to make? That's on him to figure that out. But if I was him, you know what I'm saying, with Damian Lillard reaching out saying, hey, I want you to be on the team, Carmelo Anthony probably should have looked at it with an even closer or even a better lens, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? So he didn't refuse Damian Lillard, but it just wasn't basically a priority of his at the time because he had other stuff going on. But again, this is hindsight. Hindsight is 50-50. You know what I'm saying? So you could tell Carmelo Anthony, right? Or you could say, okay, if you're not in Carmelo Anthony's shoes, that yeah, you should have decided to pick the Portland Trail Blazers. But in all essence, there was just a lot of mitigating factors going on with his career. But Carmelo Anthony doesn't get off the hook, though. I still got to hold him accountable, because Carmelo Anthony has made a lot of decisions that has positioned him into the position that he's in now. So yes, if Damian Lillard was reaching out to you multiple times, you know what I'm saying, to say, hey, I want you to come onto the team, although you did not refuse, maybe it was something that you should have took seriously, more seriously, or with more serious contention. I still hold the position that I don't believe that Portland was a desired location for Carmelo Anthony, because if you watch Carmelo Anthony, ever since he left Denver Nuggets, which is a smaller market, right, he has not gone back to a mid-market team, or, you know what I'm saying, he is not going to a mid-market team or a low-market team. Houston Rockets, I don't care what anybody tell me, they're not really considered a mid-market team. They would be what I would say in between mid-market and high-market. And they've set themselves up like that for a number of years. Now, OKC, as a mid-market to low-market team, that team, well, he went there, you know what I'm saying, not by choice. It's not like he wanted to go there. He was traded there. You see what I'm saying? So that's a different story. Completely different story of him being traded to OKC. That's a whole different dichotomy. Houston, on the other hand, you know what I'm saying, that's different, because Houston was actually a place that him and Chris Paul came to the conclusion that he wanted to play there. You know what I'm saying? So that's different. You know, that has a different history behind that, because they're Banana Boat crew members. So because they're Banana Boat crew members, Chris Paul obviously was able to vouch for him. Now, Carmelo did not do himself any service or any favors by not performing as good as he should have performed in the time that he was there. Now, it's questionable. Could he have more time to show that he could have done more? Possibly. But still, the time that he had, no excuses. You know what I'm saying? His points per game, his production, you know what I'm saying, although he acted like a professional, didn't cut the mustard. And that's why he got cut. So Carmelo's at a crossroads right now. So I'm still holding the position that, you know, looking back on it, maybe looking at Damian Lillard and the times that he reached out, maybe you probably should have took it a lot more serious and say, you know what, let me look at this Portland situation, because now things would have been a lot different for you. But again, there's a lot that was going on with Carmelo Anthony. And Carmelo Anthony, what I've noticed with him that's been a fatal mistake on his part is he's always figuring things out after the fact. Let me say it again. He's always figuring things out after the fact. And that can't be good, because every time you're always figuring things out after the fact, that means you're a step slow. Like the situation with the Miami Heat, when LeBron James said, hey, why don't you, me, and Dwayne Wade with the team up? Chris Bosh wouldn't have been in the equation. It was going to be Dwayne Wade, LeBron James, and Carmelo Anthony. That was an opportune time for him to take. LeBron was advising him to take a 3-year as opposed to a 5-year deal. I still believe LeBron James is salty as fuck about that situation. Let me say it again. I still believe LeBron James is salty as fuck about that situation. And in a way, I feel like he's punishing Carmelo Anthony because Carmelo Anthony did not take his offer on doing the 3-year as opposed to the 5-year. Now, I understand Carmelo was saying that when he was on Stephen A. Smith First Take, that, hey, you know, a guy like me and the upbringing that I have, you know what I'm saying, it's not like you just leave money on the table. We get that. But you, in all essence, when you really think about it, you're not leaving money on the table because you have an opportunity to play with LeBron James and Dwayne Wade, which would have bolstered your profile. So you're leaving the short term of what you think is more money on the table for the long term, which is basically more of a windfall for you. And you still would have been in the league because guess what? You would have had NBA titles. So Carmelo Anthony's career has been mired with him not looking at the big picture. You know what I'm saying? The situation with the Chicago Bulls. Now, there's a lot of mitigating factors. Some people say, you know, there was some issues going on in Chicago with Derrick Rose, you know what I'm saying, Joakim Noah that Melo was getting that was telling him that this is why he should not go over there because things are not what they seem. That's hearsay. That's neither here nor there. Melo has mentioned that. But again, it's his word versus whatever else is going on. What I see on paper was Derrick Rose was there, Joakim Noah was there, you know what I'm saying? And they had a potential to get Carmelo Anthony. I seriously believe if Carmelo would have made the move to go to the Chicago Bulls, I think the Bulls management would have changed their mindset in terms of saying, okay, let's let this play itself out. Because Derrick Rose at least played there another season and a half before they got rid of him, right? He at least played. So it's clear to tell me, and Joakim Noah was still there. So it's clear to tell me that Carmelo Anthony would have been there with them at least another season or two. And they had Jimmy Butler. They put up with Jimmy Butler's ass for what, another 2-3 more years after the fact that Carmelo Anthony made that decision. So that team was still intact. So, you know, I understand what Carmelo is saying, but at the same time, in a way, I kind of don't buy it because you would have still been there with that group for another 2 to 3 more years. They weren't talking about removing Jimmy Butler because they said he was untouchable. They weren't talking about removing Derrick Rose because he was untouchable. And they weren't talking about Joakim Noah because this was right before they got to a point where they got tired of Derrick Rose. And Derrick Rose was pitching to get Carmelo Anthony to come. He was pitching for him hard. He was vouching for him hard. He was out there in the media doing this. So there have been numerous players that have done this with Carmelo Anthony. Now, I feel that Carmelo Anthony has had other priorities that he felt were above the priorities of that. Now, he made the ultimate decision to stick with the Knicks. And why did he do that? Same decision with the Denver Nuggets. He went for the money. If you look at Carmelo Anthony's career, it's always been about going for the money instead of legacy. And those are facts. That right there cannot be refuted by anyone. You know what I'm saying? So he has positioned himself as a player that chose money over legacy. But again, looking back on it, I know it haunts him that decision to join LeBron James and Dwayne Wade, because that would have single-handedly had him still playing in the league today, because he would have had 2 titles, possibly 3 with that Miami Heat team. I seriously believe that plugging him instead of Chris Bosh would have gotten him 2 rings, possibly a 3rd ring, because at that time Carmelo Anthony was a lethal scorer, so he would have been another guy besides Dwayne Wade to account for that LeBron James, when he can't deliver in the 4th quarter, which we know he has the propensity of not delivering in the 4th quarter, Carmelo Anthony would have sealed the deal. So Carmelo, to me, I'm rooting for him. You know what I'm saying? At this point, I preferably want him to go to the Brooklyn Nets. Hopefully that could happen, but it's up in the air, man. You know what I'm saying? But to be honest with you, things are not looking good because nobody has definitively said anything yet. Even though Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving has said, look, man, we want this guy on the team, no one has definitively put a pen on the paper to say, Carmelo Anthony, you are on this team. So hopefully, you know what I'm saying, he could sign with the Nets. If not, then I just seriously believe he needs to retire. And it's really that simple. This is He Knows the Sport. Checking out.